Welcome on in. This is just a fairly quick one. I've told you before about the counters that I got from the bank right when we were buying the house, just finishing closing. And we've come to a point in the kitchen that we really need some counter space. So I'm working on this today. We've already put the two cabinets up in place together. They are almost exactly perfect. They're 66 inches wide. They'd be perfect if they were like 64, but I'm not going to quibble over those 2 inches. So now I've got one of the countertops. Now in the bank, it was kind of an L shape that went around the far corner of the room. And they gave me all the tops, and I've picked the shortest one, which they cut right here to when they took it off. And this is a good one for me to cut to the length or the width that I need. So ideally a circular saw would work, but I don't have a circular saw. And to keep it really nice and clean and as straight as possible, I'm using a Japanese pull saw. I've got an old level. It's nice and straight, but if I scratch it a little bit, it's not going to hurt my feelings. I've already gotten this started. This is clamped on, and I'm just going to keep working my way through until I get this cut to length, and then we'll be ready to put it on top and be an instant big improvement in the kitchen for usable space. So I'll bring you back when I get this cut finished. Alright, it is the next day. I finished getting this cut last night in the dark. Went and put it in place and found that this board right here is in the way. If we hang this over the front lip, then it's just not quite in the right position. It's too far forward, and it kind of hangs over the back. And if we lift this up on top, of course, it gives us a wedge of space down to the back, which we don't want. So this morning, first task, I need to try to get this off. I don't know if you probably can't see it, but I can see glue right here, but mostly I see brad nails throughout. So I don't know how securely this is on here. I got my good crowbar. I'll see if I can get under it, get it to pop off, and hopefully not cause too much damage. And then I'll find my chisels or scraper and clean it up as necessary. Alright, the crowbar made very quick work of that. I really lucked out. There was a fair amount of glue right here at this end, but the rest of it was just one really thin bead over to about here. It popped off really easily. The brad nails were also not too deep, so that just took less than a minute. And I've got, I think, the perfect tool, and I know where it is, which is even better, to finish cleaning this up. I'll show you one of my favorite tools just a moment. Let me go dig it out of the garage. Alright, took me a second to find the drawer it was in, but I found it right here. This is one of my favorite tools. This is a Mora knife, as you can see, and this is the chisel tip. And it's a very robust, it's not like a normal chisel. I wouldn't use this to do any mortising or anything like that, but for stuff like this, it is fantastic. I can get it from a couple different directions, and the blade is very durable. So this is one of my go-to tools that I picked up off of Amazon several years back. The chisel knife made pretty quick work of it. From about here to the end, I was able to just put it down and just run it and just chip everything off. Had to work this one extra kind of heavy corner right here. That's still not a big deal. So I believe this piece is now ready to go in place. We do have one question on whether it will fit, will not interfere with the drawer. So I think the next thing I need to do is go put the drawer in and then put this in place and see what our tolerances are. But first, I must throw the rope. I'm pretty sure this is not going to work. In fact, I know it's not going to work. So I just took off that board pretty much for nothing. What I'm going to have to do is add that material, that MDF, that thickness, all the way around the frame of the top. Okay. Well, I've got the material to do that, so I'm just gonna have to kind of dig it out and then cut it. Back outside. Well, a frame did come with these materials, and I just found 2 pieces of it like this that are available. So this should be pretty easy, really. Take, cut one to length, and then I should have enough left here to do one side rail, and then I'll just have to pull one side rail off of the other one. So I put this one, I just popped this back in place, but it's not real secure. So I'll probably need to pop out the old brad nails and do some new ones and glue it back down like they did. So yeah, I'll get to it. Okay, progress being made. So I have cut one long one for the back and 3 for the sides, 2 for the sides and 1 for the middle. Just gives it support everywhere that support is achievable. Fortunately, my brad nailer and my compressor were reasonably easy to get to. So I've got my brad nailer loaded up with some 1-inch nails, and I have not used my brad nailer in quite some time, so I'm going to oil it up. This is not the perfect oil, but it'll work. It's what I have available. I don't know where my regular oil is. Actually, I might, but this is already done. So there's that. I knew where this oil was, so I used it. This is some Hoppy's number 9 lubricating oil. We'll get the job done. Okay, I was going to hammer out the old brad nails from the original piece, but they're not hammering out. The one that I tried just bent and is more likely to break, so I'm just going to leave them. They'll just help line it up anyway. I do need to scrape a little bit of glue off of that piece. The under the cabinet is done, but this one needs a little bit. And charge the air compressor. And then I also need to do a couple of tests for how much pressure I need. This MDF is, I believe, on the softer side. So probably going to start. Nailers run ideally between like 70 and 120 psi, 90 being your happy medium. I'm expecting to use probably around 80 on this, but I've got a piece that I can test, so I will do a couple of tests in that one, starting at 70 and working my way up to the perfect perfect pressure so that I'm not poking through the finished side. Alright, so my regulator is already set at about 75, so I'm just going to leave that Here we go. And let's see how we do here. Try just one in the end. All right. That should be just about perfect. So yeah, that's sticking out about the same amount as the original one. Head is recessed, which is exactly what we want. Okay, good. One test, that was easy. Let me move a couple of things here. These out of the way. Okay. Stop, Milo. It's okay. Just somebody walking by. They're okay. Alright, here we are. Okay, so I'm going to follow the example that was set on this and just run a thin bead of glue under here so that when I do take it apart again, it won't be too much trouble. So I'm going to use just some regular wood glue, Type Bond Original. Thin, consistent bead will hold this for what I need it just fine. Perfect. Okay. Now we'll put this one back in place. Get the old brads back in their holes. Boom. Okay. And now, reinforce with some new ones. I'm going to take my hammer. Got just a tiny bit. It's just slightly proud. Just help that set down a little bit. There we go. Put one more in this end. Okay. All right, one down, 4 to go. Then we'll be ready for install. Happy day. I have just finished putting the frame together. Everything brad nailed on, and yeah, it's nice and secure, seems to be holding just fine. So we'll get the tools cleaned up and then haul this inside and get it on the counter. It's amazing how much weight just a couple of added boards make. It's way heavier than when I took it out. All right. Let's see if we can set this down gently. Boom. Okay. So getting this squared up is probably going to be like the hardest part. I've found one of the best things to do for that, get one screw in close to a corner, which is probably what I'll do right here, and then that'll keep it somewhat in place so you can get the rest of them kind of lined up. But that right there is really, really close. All right, so doing it this way leaves us with a unfinished edge, but I am planning to totally remodel this kitchen. That is a year or two in the future, most likely. And I don't want to finish this edge just temporarily. So I'm gonna live with it. I'm gonna make my OCD live with it. Okay, and let me check here. Yep, that middle beam, perfect, right where I needed it. Just got to get in here with the drill and get these set. For this, got some screws. They were in it originally, came with it. I'm just going to reuse them. They're probably 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches. There's also some 1-inchers, but they are a little too short, I believe. I mean, they might work. Yeah, they'll be okay. So I'll use these ones as my main ones, and if I want any reinforcement, I'll add the shorter ones to it just as a support in a support roll. So I've got 2 more here, and then probably the 4 in the back, and really that'll probably do it. Then this counter will be installed and will nearly double our counter space, which will make both of us happy, but especially the wife, because she has really wanted some counter space. We need it for appliances and everything else. So, okay, counter is installed, and it is a welcome sight and a welcome piece to the kitchen. I think just the 8 screws, 1 in each corner of the underneath cabinets, will be totally sufficient for holding power. So it's solid, it's not going anywhere. So it is in. We need to clean it off. It is a little dusty. That's an easy thing to do. And there is a little bit of caulking still on the back from when they pulled it off the wall at the bank. That's also an easy fix. So this project is essentially done. The last thing I'm going to do, I want to get one of those power strips that's like 3 or 4 feet long and just put along the back right here, because we are going to put appliances and stuff here and use them, and that would just be really convenient. There's a plug just right down the back side here that we could plug that power strip into. So this is a good improvement. As far as the kitchen goes, our kitchen is starting to come together. I'm gonna call that a wrap. Well, it turns out we're not quite done with this project. Wife went to put the cabinet doors on, and it turns out they rub on the floor. So we've got to elevate the entire cabinet a little bit. So we figured out that this piece right here was kind of the floor frame that they were originally on. And I debated just putting that back under it and just cutting it to length because it is too long, but that's not going to work. Turns out that it's roughly like 4 inches in the front, and on the sides they've shimmed it to be 4 inches. The back one's like 3 inches. So I was gonna have to do some shimming or some other stuff, and I felt like adding 4 inches to the counter height was more than I wanted. The wife said that she would be okay with it, but I really think this is the better way to go. So I've just knocked the back off, and so I'm going to cut my 66-inch length from this. Then I'm going to have to do the same thing with the front one, and then cut my in-between pieces. Basically do the same thing for the bottom that I did for the countertop. I'm going to make pretty much the same frame that we can just slide underneath it and elevate it enough for the cabinet doors to work. We are coming down the home stretch of this one for good this time. So I went to the home center today, Lowe's, intending to get some MDF. That frame broke apart as I was trying to cut it down to size, and it's just not going to work. So I went to get some more, and instead I ended up getting some cedar fencing. And I like this idea because we do have a bit of a problem with carpet beetles, and box elder bugs are out in mass right now. Just common pests for our area. We're doing our best to stay on top of it in the house with frequent cleaning and vacuuming and stuff, but they still show up. So cedar, being a natural repellent, I thought would be good to be down on the ground and hopefully help thwart them off out of this cabinet and drawers. All right, we have them in place underneath. And as you can see, we've got the cupboards on, and the wife is happy. Yes. Because they work. So our alignment here is not great. I believe these type of hinges can be adjusted, so I might look at seeing if I can get that to line up, but otherwise they are functioning. They're not grabbing the floor, and we only went up like half an inch, 5/8. So now I can comfortably declare this job done. So our temporary long-term additional kitchen cabinet is completed until we revamp the whole kitchen, which is probably a year or 2 years down the road, honestly. So anyway, well, we are making progress. We are making this more our own. I want to thank you for tuning in. If you want to keep following along on our home improvement renovation projects, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, especially those last two, so you can get notified every time we post a new video. I appreciate your support. We'll catch you on the next one.